Welcome to this virtual open day session about the AA's Design and Make Masters Programme. My name is Martin Self. I'm a co-director on the programme. In this next half an hour, we're going to talk through the programme. I'll give a little introduction. We'll show some video of the recent students' work, and I'll end with some questions and answer session. So, this is our world, our site. We're very privileged to inhabit this piece of forest, Hook Park, a 350-acre woodland in the west of England that is owned by the AA. The campus includes buildings by Fiotto, from its earlier incarnation as a furniture school, and has been growing through buildings designed and constructed by our students. It has the workshop facilities to go from forest to tree. This ability to fabricate and construct enables our prime agenda, which is to seek the integration of design and making. Through all of our projects, we aim to maximize the reciprocation between the design representation and the embodied actions of making. We argue that architectural design should not be abstracted to the studio and the screen, but immersed in the physical world. So, to give a deeper flavor of what we do, I'm going to play a short video now. So this allows us to pursue 6 key technologies, within which we have a focus on 3D scanning, which really enables a deep interaction between the physical and virtual worlds that we operate in, and also try and introduce familiarity with robotics. Again, it's a mechanism of giving us a way of working very directly with the natural material which we're surrounded in. And that's one of our fundamental premises, that we can work directly, very, very locally, with the material of the woodland. So alongside those introduction workshops, we also run a series of timber technology sessions, really working at all scales from forestry. You know, we have our forester that we work with, right down to the cellular structure of wood itself, setting up a really good understanding of wood. Alongside that, following that, we work on our first large-scale construction. So the second half of the first term, our core studio project, we collectively work on a constructed piece that establishes a foundation skill set in design and making that we then explore further in the research projects in the second and third and fourth terms. So in term 2, things start to bifurcate. The MSCs pursue their individual research. This can take different forms, but inherently focuses on technologies related to timber. This is one recent project that was completed that looked in very much detail at the anatomy of the tree, trying to take a forensic attitude to what the tree really is and the things that we tend to ignore about it. The AMARCs have a different agenda, so they work towards a more collective project on a slightly larger scale, working as architects and makers in parallel, developing a project. So this is our current project, a library for Hook Park. These are early physical models. This is the project as it looked like yesterday. So as you see, we kind of really pursue the realization of our work. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to a section of video filmed yesterday with our current students talking about the work that they're doing.
Hi, my name is Sheneng. I'm from the United States. Been out here for a week and already completely immersed in the woods.
Hi, I'm Nasia. I'm from Cyprus. I'm really excited for being here in the amazing woodland of Hook Park. It's a really inspiring environment.
Hi, I'm Ciro. I come from the Netherlands, and coming out here in the woods, you can tell that everybody's really friendly and that there's a real hands-on approach to learning.
Hi there, I'm Patrick. I'm from Canada. Excited to be here in Hook Park. Well, we've only really just started.
Hi, I'm Francisco, this is Florencia. We're both Chileans, and we've been here for a year and 1 month. Yeah. So part of the 16-month course of Design and Make. So we are phase 2 now, because the new students have already arrived. And we are now here to show you some of the things we've made.
In January we got the brief of the Wakeford Hall Library project, and we were to design the skin of the skeleton that we inherit from the last year's Design and Make students, which is this one. Similar to the dark room, we had to work with a pre-existing structure. So the first move was to think about these prefabricated cassettes as the main skin of the skeleton, and we decided to offset the whole envelope in a way, and so that you can actually see the whole skeleton on the inside. And the other move that we did was, because the space felt a little bit tight inside, we decided to extend the first floor mezzanine with this cantilever in the first floor. And on the other hand, we wanted to have a really soft light inside because it was a library. So we don't have any kind of big openings to the south, and you only have these main openings on the east and west side and on the north side.
So the process for designing the skin of the library began with the exploration of the skeleton, as you see it, as we inherited. So we tried to kind of take some of the geometry and start understanding how the space could kind of vary, or how the light is going to come inside, and which are the views for the landscape, and what is a library on the forest in a way. So all of these things we've explored them like in these different scales. So we started with 1 to 15 models, kind of explorations, and you can see like in the process how they are starting to develop and to resemble like the final actual project. For instance, in this one, you can see kind of the interior kind of modeling.
Because the geometry of the skeleton was so complex, the study models were really helpful to understand how we can design the space inside, and it was the only way we can see all of the variables and kind of play with the geometry and get the final shape of the skin. It was really important to have these experimental models and see how we can interact with the skeleton and how the skin will be put together in a way. So now we're here in the first floor of the library, the mezzanine floor. We've been working on this panel for 5 months now. We just put them up this week and the week before.
And the week before that. The week before that.
Yeah. But on site, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was the last addition to the cassette family. We really wanted this space to feel like a cozy, kind of secluded space for studying here at Hook Park. And because the space with the frame feel a little bit tight, we decided to, as we explained it before in the model, to extend it with that cantilever floor and have this kind of nice long views through the whole building.
Yeah, I would add that the light quality was a big thing when designing the library. So we wanted to have the light coming from the ends, like covering the walls. So we have a big skylight coming down, and now you can see it on the left because the first wall of the final portion of the building just came in. So we are starting to see the skylight coming down to the left. and then on this background you kind of start feeling the mood of the library, and that is something that is great for us, and it's a kind of a quality of this program that you really get to build and get to be inside your own designs.
Yeah, the process has been really incredible, from the drawing table straight onto the workshop and then onto the site, and actually seeing your drawing build. It's an amazing experience and you learned a lot.
Well, it's the knowledge of kind of doing the things,
Yeah.
understanding the material.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
It's been incredible and surreal to actually look at this thing build, and thinking about 5 months ago when we started this whole process, I knew we were gonna be able to make it, as you were saying. It wasn't, we weren't sure.
Yeah, we started the building process 5 months ago,
Yeah.
but I would say 8 to 10 months ago designing, and it's something that you know is going to happen. The building is going to be on the site, but you don't know how that process is going to be and how exhausting it's going to be working on site and everything. And time flies in a
Yeah.
way, and now we are 2 to 3 months to finish.
And the actual feeling of us being in our space that we designed is a unique feeling and a unique experience for any architect, I think.
Yeah, and the other thing that is quite important is that we feel that this is a shared kind of
Collaborative.
a collaboratory design, that none of us is kind of the owner of the design. This is our project. It's on top of the project of the last years, and there was on top of the other guys. So it's kind of everyone is adding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important bits about this program, and the most important knowledge that I've got, I think the fact that we have to work on teams and rely on other people and actually learn from each other and listen to each other. It's been a fundamental learning in this course. Besides all the actual knowledge about building that obviously is there, I think the fact that we are part of this community and trying to make this place better and grow as an architect all together, it's been the most important bit of the program for me.
Kind of the distance that you take from the city, or the distance that you take from kind of real world in a way, after spending like 14 to 16 months in a site, absolutely changes you. It's like you live in a forest for a year and a half, and you meet new people, and you make them your friends, your brothers, you cook with them. Like the feeling of community is something that it would be weird to go back to our previous life and not feel any changes. Like in the way you would run an office, or in the way that you would teach in the school, or the way you would design a project. I think you feel this kind of Hook Park spirit behind it.
So that was Flo and Francisco, two of our MArch students, our Phase 2 students, who have a few more months left on the programme. We've had a couple of questions which I'll quickly try and answer. One relates to the admission requirements, which I can talk through. There's much more detail on the AA's website about the application process and how that works. But just in summary, so the MArch is a post-professional course like the other graduate school MArchs at the AA. So that requires a 5-year or equivalent study in architecture, basically to that post-professional level. The MSc is a bit different, requiring a 3-year bachelor degree as a minimum in a related subject, so in architecture, design or engineering subject. Another question is related to where Hook Park is and where the students live. So Hook Park is not in London. It's not next to the main bit of the AA in Bedford Square. It's about 120 miles west of here in a county called Dorset, near the coast in the west of England. So it's rural. It's a piece of woodland that's got some towns nearby, but is very different to the urban context. Students, some of them live on site. In the first term, we house the students and they work out what they want to do. So some stay on site, some find places to live in the nearby villages and towns. And we're hoping to get more accommodation on site. And actually, that's one of the design agendas for this coming year. Final question here is whether students can select their own thesis topics. Again, this varies a little bit for the MArcs and the MSc students. So the MArc main design and make project is done collectively in small groups, typically 3 to 6 students, something like that. But alongside that, they write an individual thesis, which we write mainly through the second and third terms, so it's informative. It's to develop a personal architectural position that informs the design work of the main project. The MSCs, it's different because they're doing an individual technical study, so they write a dissertation, which is a more sort of total capturing of the project that they've done, is their final submission. So that's written up, within an MSc kind of context as a record of the experimentation, the research done, the findings of that. I suppose to answer that question, so for the MSCs, there's a more individual research topic, but we do, as tutors, we do steer that so that it's some research that's contributing to the wider agenda of Hook Park. Researching how we use that, how we work in this intensely local way with our material, and how we directly work through fabrication and making to exploit that. Good. I hope that answers those questions. If there are any more questions, then do get in touch with us. There's lots of ways of doing that through our websites. Look at the Instagram feeds. We try and keep that very active, and you'll see sort of day-to-day what we're up to, and hopefully see you in Hook Park. Thanks very much.